Welcome to Indie Depth, the show where we go in depth with independent filmmakers about the filmmaking process. I'm your host, Andrew Froning. And today with me, I have feature filmmaker Anthony Catanese. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, you've got a movie that has come out on physical release and video on demand, the new cool thing that all the kids are doing, renting movies and buying movies from the cloud. That's pretty cool, man. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, the movie's called Girls Just Want to Have Blood, and you can pretty much get it anywhere DVDs are sold online, or you can get it directly from me. And it's all, yeah, like you said, on video on demand, and it's also on VHS through
Whoa.
horrorboobs.com.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, I pre-ordered on Amazon.com, just the DVD. But I didn't get VHS. That's awesome.
Yeah, they announced it just a little bit after the DVD. I don't think that's like been pushed yet, but it's coming
Okay.
out.
Well, that's super special. That's almost like the vinyl releases that new bands are doing.
Yeah, like we have a VHS of our last movie we did, High Death, and that sells better than the DVD. And
Whoa.
it's weird because it's so much. It's like $25 for VHS, and people are more willing to throw $25 at us for a VHS than $10 for a DVD.
Do you think it's a nostalgia thing, or do you think it is more of like, oh, this is a collector's item?
No, I think it's more like within the VHS community, people like to watch. Like me, I'm a VHS collector. I have over like 1,000 VHS tapes that I've had throughout the years. I just like watching movies on VHS, especially horror movies, because there's a warmer feel to it. It looks better. It sounds, especially when you get a real old one. I remember when I first saw Evil Dead,
Hmm.
was like an old copy that's been used in thousands. You know what I mean? I probably saw it for the first time in like the early 90s. So it's been sitting in a video store for 10 years already. And it was dark, it was grimy, the sound was off, which made it like 1,000 times scarier. And when it came out on DVD, I was like, all right. I popped in, I was like, oh, nah, this sucks. I like the VHS version better. Just because it had all the grime and all the years of people watching it. And some horror movies, when you clean them up and digitally remaster them, you see too much and you lose that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You lose a little bit from it. So I
Yeah.
know a lot of people even now will take there's people who will take a current film, put it on VHS, and then sell it on VHS.
Oh, so VHS rips.
Yeah, but yeah. They'll take like any movie, like they'll put like The Mandalorian on VHS, and people will eat it up and watch. They'll even make it square,
Yeah, I would
just like
watch
they're
that.
watching old. Yeah, so and a lot of people too. They have like their flat screen, and then they have their old school '90s TV that they only watch VHS stuff on. Just to,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. My VHS player stopped working, unfortunately, but I've got tons of old movies. Most of them are like kids' movies, but I've got like bootleg
yeah.
versions of Jaws that my uncle made me so I could watch, and it cuts off at the very end. So I never knew exactly what happened after they started swimming the shore, and then I finally got the DVD, and it turns out that there's just a couple birds, and then the credits roll.
All those years, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I was really like expecting like, oh, he's gonna go back, his kids, he's gonna hug his kids.
But I love the dub VHS, especially like when they're blank. You don't know what's going to be on them, and you have like people who have like 7 movies on there. You know what I mean? And then speaking of what you were saying, my first copy of Empire Strikes Back was dubbed,
Hmm.
and my grandma did it. But what she did before she gave it to me, I don't know if she realized it or not. I don't know how old your audience is, but do you remember the Challenger spaceship that exploded?
I
So,
remember hearing about it. It wasn't like I was a little after my time.
so she taped that. It was on the tape. So every time I watched Empire Strikes Back, it would be the Challenger exploding, and then the movie would cut in. Like it taped over the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. So I never really knew how Empire Strikes Back started. Like when Luke's in the cave and all
I
that.
was
That was
just gonna
all.
say, so like the space shuttle explodes, Luke wakes up in a cave.
It's after that. It's like when they're all coming out of the whatever their fort, their headquarters and
Yeah.
stuff. So like for half of my life, I didn't know how Empire Strikes Back started.
One of
I
my
always, and every time I watch Empire Strikes Back, I just think of the Challenger exploding.
one of
I
my
know it's
good
not funny,
friends. Yeah, right. Fondly for some reason, right?
but
One of my good friends, she always tells us about the for a few times she's watched Back to the Future because it was on VHS, and someone had started to record like the beginning of a commercial where some guy's just like dancing, and she's like, I always expect that guy to dance at this part, and it's just so weird.
Yeah, dude, things like that, you get used to it when you watch them. You know what I mean? You're like, I like that so much better. Another reason I like VHS is you ever watch an old movie and then they'll put like the new logo?
Yeah.
Like Universal Films, if you watch Back to the Future, they'll put their newest logo on it, but not the logo that was originally on the film, and that drives me insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want this CGI logo from 2020. I want the one from 1985 when the movie came out, you know?
I even see some of them, like, they'll have, like, as a separate file that plays before, if you're watching, like, the display on some movies. They'll play, like, the new version, but then they'll go back and they'll show the older one. And I think it's typically when they have music under it.
Yeah, when they have music under it, they'll definitely keep it. But I know it's like a lot of streaming services and stuff, they'll put the new ones, which just drives me insane.
Yeah, I guess they just want to get to the movie faster or something. Yeah, I'm with you there. So VHS. So
yep.
So is there's a big community for this?
Oh, huge VHS community. Like they have swaps, you know, I mean, they have big, I don't say conventions, but you know what I mean? Like shows where people just have boxes of VHS and they swap them out, things like that.
Oh, wow.
And again, especially in the horror film community, you put something on VHS, you know, I mean, me, I'll buy it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want this on VHS. It's expensive, but people will pay the money for it, you know?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's a warmer feel, which is what people always say about vinyl. It's a warmer sound. It's not as digitally crisp. It's got some life to it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because, like, I've got a ton of Rugrats VHSs at some point. They're all like orange. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
That's the best, is to find like the old Nickelodeons, then dub over them, so you have just a bunch of orange tapes and things like that. That's another thing, people will customize and paint the actual tapes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's insanely cool. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, it is a huge underground thing.
And it's mostly in the horror community, you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, most stuff in the collecting, I think nowadays, especially with like physical media, is really the horror crowd. You know, I mean, there might be people here and there buying DVD. Like if you go to anywhere where that sells DVDs anymore, I mean, the section, you know what I mean? It's like, you might as well be selling books.
Right.
People don't want them so bad. But you'll notice most of them are like low budget horror stuff, because that's what people are buying. And the horror community is really still into supporting their own, you know what I mean? Like they want to buy movies from people. I have people hit me up like, I want to buy this directly from you. I want you to hand it to me. I want to hand you the money. Wow. I want to make sure you're seeing something from it. Because like if you buy like movies on Amazon, I get like a penny. You know what I mean? And we have to sell 5,000 of them. But nothing against Amazon. I think it's great that it's getting out there, and people, you know what I mean? It's getting out to millions of people that I would never.
Sure, yeah, they're doing the hard work, but it's cool to have that contact with your fans.
Yeah, that's why I like conventions. That's really why I like sitting at a table, talking one-on-one, letting them know a little bit about the movie. You know, I mean, they get to like talk to me a little bit. So you get to meet your filmmaker. You know, it's like meeting Sam Raimi just trying to sell you a copy of Evil Dead back in the 80s. And be like, oh, awesome, I remember. And there's a bunch of dudes, a bunch of cats who I met through the conventions who did that. I bought off them. They went on to do big things, you know. And I'm like, dude, I remember sitting there talking to that guy just like this. You know what I mean? And everybody's excited, and it's just a really cool community because everybody wants to help each other and wants to keep it going, you know what I mean? And keep everything cool. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's great. So how involved are you with your new movie's VHS release? Are you involved at all, or do you have any oversight over that?
No, not really. It comes out through the Wild Eye Releasing, which put out the DVD and does the video on demand stuff. And then the VHS company is called Horror Boobs, and they put out high def. And then he just hit me up. He's like, hey, I just need some photos for VHS. I'm like, oh, awesome. He's like, and he designed the covers and all that stuff. And with stuff like that, I'm like, these guys know what they're doing. This is like this is what they do for a living. So I don't want to be like, oh, you should use this or do that or do that.
They know.
It's like they know what to do. And plus, like with these movies, it's always like from the beginning to end of making it, I'm doing everything basically. You know, I mean, my company's 2 people, so we're basically doing everything. So it's like nice once it goes off to just have other people be like, you know, because I have people like when artwork comes back, people are like, oh, I don't like that artwork. Blah, blah. I'm like, look, this is what sells. This is what the distribution company, you know, thinks it'll do. Even with like changing the title.